He was just 13 when he ran away from home, walking 292 miles on foot to chase his dream. He had no money, no friends, and no idea what would happen. But that boy's name, Louis Vuitton, and today that name is worth billions. This is the unbelievable story of how one poor child became a fashion legend. The story of Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton was not born into luxury. He wasn't rich. He didn't have powerful friends. He was just a boy from a small village in France. Born on August 4, 1821, in Anchy, a tiny village near the mountains, Louis lived a very simple life. His family was poor. His father was a farmer and a carpenter. His mother was a hat maker. They worked hard, but money was always tight. From a young age, Louis showed that he was different. He was smart, quiet, and very curious. He liked working with his hands and watching how things were made. But life was not easy for little Louis. When he was just 10 years old, his mother died. And after that, his father remarried. Louis did not get along with his stepmother. The house no longer felt like home. One day, when Louis was 13, he made a bold decision. He packed a small bag and left home on foot. He wanted to go to Paris. He dreamed of becoming something bigger. The journey to Paris was not short. It was 292 miles away. Louis walked for weeks. He slept in the forests, worked for food, and cleaned stables just to survive. But he didn't stop. He kept walking. Finally, after all that struggle, Louis reached Paris. But the city was not kind to him at first. Paris in the 1830s was busy and full of noise, smoke, and dust. Rich people lived in the city, but poor people like Louis had to fight just to eat. He had no money, no friends, and nowhere to stay. But he had one thing: determination. Louis started looking for work. One day, he found a job with a man named Monsieur Marichal. Marichal was a master box maker and packer. In those days, rich people traveled with large boxes instead of suitcases. And someone needed to design and pack those boxes carefully. That was the job. Louis began working as an apprentice. He learned how to make strong, beautiful boxes by hand. He worked quietly, learned fast, and became very good at his job. He was careful, focused, and always made sure his work was perfect. Over the next few years, Louis became one of the best in the trade. People began to notice him. His reputation grew. Soon, he was trusted by wealthy clients, including important aristocrats. And then, something happened that changed his life forever. In 1852, Napoleon Bonaparte's wife, Empress Eugenie, hired Louis Vuitton to be her personal boxmaker and packer. This was a big moment. The Empress trusted Louis to pack her clothes and belongings for long royal trips. She wanted someone who could pack her expensive dresses perfectly, so they didn't get ruined. This opportunity opened many doors for Louis. He was now working with the most powerful people in France. And with every box he made, more people wanted to hire him. But Louis had a bigger dream. He didn't just want to make boxes for others. He wanted to create his own business, his own name, his own style. In 1854, at the age of 33, Louis Vuitton opened his first shop on Rue Neuve des Capucines in Paris. He started small, but his vision was big. He introduced a new idea: flat-topped trunks. Until then, travel trunks had rounded tops, which made them hard to stack. Louis designed a flat trunk that was not only stylish but also practical. His trunks were made from lightweight canvas and strong wood. They were waterproof and easy to clean. Travelers loved them. His business grew quickly. And his name, Louis Vuitton, started becoming a symbol of quality and style. But success didn't come easy. In 1871, during the Franco-Prussian War, Paris was attacked. The city was in chaos. Louis's workshop was looted, and his tools were stolen. His business almost ended there. But Louis did not give up. He moved to a new location and started again from zero. Slowly, he rebuilt everything. By the 1880s, Louis was back on his feet. His trunks were selling across Europe. People who loved fashion, travel, and luxury were choosing Louis Vuitton. He had turned his small dream into a powerful brand. But this was just the beginning. Louis Vuitton had come a long way from being a poor boy who walked to Paris with nothing in his pocket. By the 1880s, his name was known across Europe. Rich people, nobles, and even royalty were using his trunks. His workshop was busy, his shop in Paris was popular, and he had built something strong with his hands and his heart. But Louis was not just proud of his work. He was always thinking about how to make it better. As more people traveled, they needed luggage that was not only strong but also stylish and easy to use. Louis continued to innovate. He introduced canvas materials that were lighter than leather but just as strong. He also created a special lock system to protect people's belongings. Many thieves at the time were targeting luggage on trains and boats. Louis's lock made it hard for anyone to break into his trunks. Customers trusted his name. But with success came challenges. By the late 1800s, copycats started to appear. Other shops tried to make similar trunks and claimed they were Louis Vuitton products. This hurt his business. Louis realized he had to protect his brand. That's when he came up with an idea that changed everything. He designed a new pattern for his canvas, something unique and impossible to copy. It had beige and brown stripes. Later, his son would improve this idea even more. But for now, it was enough to tell people, this is the real Louis Vuitton. As the business grew, so did Louis's family involvement. His son, Georges Vuitton, joined him in the workshop. Georges was smart and passionate, just like his father. He watched closely, learned fast, and respected everything his father had built. Louis was proud of him. He knew Georges could take the business even further. But Louis was getting older. His hands were not as steady as before, and he began to step back from the daily work. In 1892, Louis Vuitton passed away at the age of 70. The man who had once walked across France with nothing had now left behind a legacy of greatness. But the story did not end there. After his father's death, Georges Vuitton took over the company. Georges wanted to honor his father's name but also take the business to new heights. He had big dreams. He wanted to make Louis Vuitton a global brand. Georges introduced the famous LV monogram canvas in 1896, just 4 years after his father's death. This design had the LV initials along with flowers and stars, inspired by Japanese art. It was elegant, eye-catching, and impossible to copy. It was not just a product. It was a symbol. Thanks to Georges' vision, Louis Vuitton products became more than just travel trunks. They became fashion statements. Georges also went on international trips to promote the brand. He visited America and opened stores in London and New York. Slowly, Louis Vuitton was no longer just a name in France. It was becoming known around the world. By the early 1900s, Louis Vuitton trunks were seen at every train station and dock where rich people traveled. Movie stars, businessmen, and politicians all wanted to own something with the famous LV mark. It was not just about carrying clothes, it was about carrying style. Georges also continued to work on security. He improved the lock system his father had created and made it even harder for thieves to open the trunks. People now felt safe traveling with their Louis Vuitton luggage. In the 1910s and 1920s, the world was changing fast. Cars, planes, and new forms of transport meant more people were traveling than ever before. Georges adapted to the times and created new shapes and styles for bags and trunks. He introduced smaller handbags and made them lighter for modern travel. Even during World War I, the company survived, though things became difficult. But Georges never gave up. He worked hard, stayed strong, and made sure the company stayed true to his father's values: quality, innovation, and trust. By the time Georges passed away in 1936, the Louis Vuitton brand had become a giant in the world of fashion and luxury. He had kept his father's dream alive and made it even bigger. The next generation took over. Georges' son, Gaston Louis Vuitton, stepped into the role. He was creative and full of new ideas. He helped the company stay relevant in changing times. He introduced more styles, more colors, and more designs. Under his leadership, Louis Vuitton continued to grow, becoming a name that stood for elegance, class, and craftsmanship. But behind all the glamour and gold, the heart of Louis Vuitton remained the same. The story of a boy who walked 292 miles to chase his dream. A boy who believed in hard work, honesty, and beauty in every detail. A boy who had nothing but gave the world something unforgettable. Today we see Louis Vuitton shops in the biggest cities on earth. We see celebrities wearing LV bags and people lining up to buy the latest collection. But how many people really know the story behind the name? How many know about the little boy from Anchi who refused to give up? How many know that the brand was not built with money, but with courage? Louis Vuitton didn't start rich. He started with a dream. And that dream changed the world of fashion forever. The legacy of Louis Vuitton did not end with Louis, or even with his son Georges. The brand continued to grow, becoming stronger with each generation. But as the years went by, fashion changed. The world changed. People wanted more than just travel trunks and classic bags. They wanted modern style, bold design, and something that felt new. By the mid-1900s, the company had already created a strong name for itself. But to stay at the top, Louis Vuitton had to keep evolving. Gaston Louis Vuitton, the grandson of Louis, knew that. He had a love for art, books, and design. He believed in mixing tradition with modern creativity. Under his leadership, Louis Vuitton stores became more than just places to buy bags. They became places of inspiration. He introduced new products, new collections, and new ideas. While still honoring the classic styles of his grandfather, Gaston encouraged fresh designs and bold patterns. Louis Vuitton was no longer just about trunks, it was about lifestyle. As the 20th century moved forward, Louis Vuitton became a symbol of success and high society. But the company faced challenges too. Other luxury brands were rising. The world was entering a new age of fashion. To survive, Louis Vuitton needed something big. In 1987, something huge happened. Louis Vuitton joined forces with Moët et Chandon, a famous champagne brand, and Hennessy, a luxury cognac company. Together, they formed a group called LVMH, Louis Vuitton Moët Hennessy. This was a new chapter in the brand's story. It combined fashion, luxury, and lifestyle under one powerful name. LVMH became a giant in the world of luxury goods. But even in this new era, the name Louis Vuitton stayed at the heart of it all. Then came a man who would take Louis Vuitton to an entirely new level. Bernard Arnault, the head of LVMH. He believed in the power of the Louis Vuitton name. Under his leadership, the brand expanded into fashion shows, clothing lines, and modern luxury. He brought in top designers to refresh the image and attract a younger audience. In 1997, Louis Vuitton made a bold move by hiring American designer Marc Jacobs as the brand's first-ever creative director. It was risky. Marc was known for edgy modern styles, very different from the classic image of Louis Vuitton. But it worked. Marc Jacobs introduced the first ready-to-wear clothing line for Louis Vuitton. Suddenly, Louis Vuitton was not just about bags, it was about fashion from head to toe. Models walked the runway wearing bold new styles with the iconic LV logo. He also collaborated with famous artists like Steven Sprouse and Takashi Murakami, creating limited edition bags that blended art and fashion. These bags sold out quickly and brought a new energy to the brand. People around the world, young and old, wanted a piece of Louis Vuitton. The logo, once a simple symbol on a trunk, had become a global icon. By the 2000s, Louis Vuitton stores could be found in almost every major city: New York, Tokyo, London, Dubai, Shanghai. The name represented quality, style, and status. Celebrities, athletes, and world leaders all carried Louis Vuitton. But through all the fame, the company never forgot its roots. Even today, many Louis Vuitton items are still handmade in France. The company trains skilled artisans who carefully craft each bag with care and precision. Every stitch matters. Every detail is checked. That's the spirit Louis started with. In recent years, the brand has continued to break new ground. In 2018, Virgil Abloh, a black designer from Chicago and founder of the Off-White brand, was named artistic director of Louis Vuitton's men's line. It was a historic moment. Virgil brought a fresh and modern touch to the brand, mixing streetwear with luxury. His work connected with a whole new generation. Sadly, Virgil Abloh passed away in 2021, but his impact on Louis Vuitton remains. He helped the brand grow, diversify, and stay meaningful in a changing world. Today, Louis Vuitton is one of the most valuable brands in the world. It's not just about products, it's about passion, history, and dreams. People don't just buy a Louis Vuitton bag. They buy a piece of a story. A story that started with a 13-year-old boy walking 292 miles with a dream in his heart. Louis Vuitton's journey is a reminder to all of us. You don't need money to dream big. You don't need connections to change your life. What you need is belief, hard work, and the courage to keep going, even when the road is long and full of struggle. The boy who left home with nothing became the man who built an empire. His name lives on. His spirit inspires millions. And his story will be told for generations.